said she in the whole Olympics and she blocked me. So certainly she's saying worse about this young man every day, all day.
There was one part in the apology where he said, it wasn't my intention to violate your boundaries, but it was.
A porn star calling you a sex freak is insane.
People jokey joke like men will fuck a hole in a tree. That is not a lie.
Accountability is not something that's required of men.
But the scary part for me is maybe he actually looks at her and reads her as somebody who doesn't have boundaries.
Let's start with Moriah Mills then. Marlon?
I guess so.
Since that's the latest news.
Indeed.
That she's threatening to release the sex tape?
Yes. Yeah. Apparently she's...
Listen.
Yeah. She's on her last resort. Revenge porn.
Okay. I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. As the resident abolitionist, Moriah Mills needs to be in jail. And she needed to be in jail 2 weeks ago. Under the jail. In fact, she should be stoned in the streets. I really need us to understand. Like, I'm not joking. It's harassment.
Oh yeah.
It is actual harassment. Like,
It really
imagine,
is. It's
could you
absolutely
imagine, like,
harassment.
if a woman was messing with a man, first of all, in a transactional relation, let's start there. This is a transactional relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing she has showed indicates a romantic relationship of any kind.
That man isn't in one video.
Girl,
He's
Snapchat.
not in one video.
He ain't said nothing other than, miss, I'd like to pay you for your services. And pay you handsomely at that.
Right.
Girl.
Being on salary, move to where I'm playing.
Did you even
What
have
was that movie
number?
where the guy thought he was talking to someone that everyone could see the whole time? Was it Sixth Sense? Like, I feel like that's what's happening right now. There's no proof that she actually knows this guy other than text messages.
Look,
They're in love with not
Yeah,
one
but-
picture. Not one picture.
I mean,
Get the
it,
messages.
it makes sense because I was sitting there, you know, I watch the NBA a lot, and this is what he clearly was busy doing. I don't know, like he has a long history of doing stuff like this, and this is just kind of a par for the course. It's hilarious.
I don't understand how she is able to still be talking. Because I cannot understand how this is possible. Because first of all, my problem is not that we are in advanced level hodom. That's not the issue. It's these bad politics with the hodom that's happening. Because the things she say, no, hear me good. There is nothing I could say to slut shame that woman worse than she has slut shamed the other bitch and the man. She is a sex worker calling him every kind of sex
freak.
addict.
A porn star calling you a sex freak is insane. Like
Not
that's
while he's just being 22. Like, he's a little boy. He has all this money and he has the opportunity to fuck every
With a
porn
lot of
star
money.
around the town. And he's doing it. So,
Look,
Listen,
where's she from? Where's she kind of sort of like from? Do y'all know? Is it Dallas? Is it Houston? Somewhere in Texas? Something like that? No, because I saw
know
a
from
clip.
porn.
So there was a clip though. There was a clip though of you know, the Pelican sitting there having a little interview, and he was just like, oh, I love that place. Oh, it make me so happy. I think it was Dallas or something like
Dallas,
that.
yeah.
So I'm not sure if she is from Dallas. She is the thing that made him happy. Maybe it's other people. I'm not sure, but it's clearly some women.
She's not even his favorite bitch by her own admission.
Correct. He got a
By
list.
her own admission. No, hear me. No. My only problem with Zion is his choice in bitch and the lack of NDAs that are present. Because I was reading the tweets. I said, girl, if you can put up evidence, I'm going to go through it. This is more discovery than I ever seen. Let's check it out. Ma'am, first and foremost, this woman says half the year she's out of commission. Body is in pain, needed surgery, struggling down bad, so she not fucking half the year anyhow. What kind of investment is this? Now you talking all this, your big sacrifice and thing to his life and careers. Oh, after everything I did for you, you made me wear braids and wear black. Don't piss me off. Don't piss me off.
I was crying when I saw that. I was crying when I saw that one.
Hey, that comment right there, that one, and the one where she's like, you're costing me money, you're my livelihood, you pay for everything, and you mean to tell me you cannot fend for yourself without this nigga, and you on this internet? He's costing you money. I have wanted, hey son, listen to me. I have been swole with rage since her first tweet.
I mean, but in fairness to her, like, porn stars are not able to get FMLA. She told you she's down bad. Like, her body is hurt. She cannot work. And she needs her source of income. Like, she's 32.
That's another thing.
But isn't she in her
She's 32?
But she can't work.
Isn't she grown,
and he's 22.
She's 32 and he's
32.
22. I told y'all jail.
How do you get...
Jail.
Wait. How do you get surgery and look older?
Yes, ma'am.
That's crazy. I thought she was like
Well,
40,
the issue is that
45.
said-
The issue is not her. The issue is not her face. It's her body.
It is the face
messed
is
up.
giving Tim Burton.
The body.
It is giving Tim Burton's character. Yes, it is. And I didn't say it, but it's important not to. It's important not to
this is
plagiarize.
Halloween.
Somebody on Twitter said her body looked like a deep breath.
Can you? So you said she blocked you.
Yes.
How she? I'm trying to figure that out. How she block you? Like, why did she know
Because-
to block you? Like,
She probably saw the video.
really?
You tagged her?
I heard she blocked a lot of people.
I didn't tag her,
Yeah.
but the video did
A
well.
lot of people blocked her.
Because I'm like, how did she know to block you? Because when have you tagged her? That's what I'm just so confused
I-
about.
People
I
probably
didn't
tagged
tag
her
her.
under the video.
She probably searched herself. I mean, somebody, like, judging from her tweets, she seemed like somebody that searched herself a lot.
Yeah.
Because she's looking for every bit of attention from this. Now she's talking about dropping a rap verse. Earlier this week, she was saying she's going to drop a rap verse to really make it all.
She said, "I'm gonna ether him.
Oh
Gonna give
my
me my
god.
money."
Yesterday,
But look,
she was talking about
Not a
Happy
rap
Father's Day to him.
verse.
This is my thing, right? And because I don't want to make fun of her, because I think like it's like I don't mind making fun of people. I'm with it, but she seemed like she actually like not well. You know, my thing to him, because I'm looking at Zion like I would like one of my, like I got kids Zion age. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at Zion like, yo, is it any dude in your life like telling you how to manage this shit? Like you 22 and
No
you
one.
rich and famous. All you gotta say is I want to have sex, and I'm gonna give you some money, and that's that. But judging from the way he move in the world, the way he talk, even the way he dress, like he ain't got no game to him. You know what I'm
No
saying?
OGs.
None. So what ends up happening is when you're 22, like a lot of times, like you don't just want to have sex. Like you want to, like you want he how can I put it crudely? He don't just want pussy. He wants in love pussy, right? So he's gassing her in a way that he ain't got to. So then what ends up happening is like nobody ends up tweeting 75,000 times in 2 days if you being honest with them about what's going on. I mean, every once in a while you get a stalker, you get a crazy person, whatever. But 99% of that shit is him doing too much when he ain't got to. I'm not saying anybody should do it, but if you got 9 figures and you famous and like he could just be like, this is what it is, this is what it isn't, and let her make her choice about whether she with it or not. And she probably would be with it, judging from what she's been saying. But
Right.
he did
But as
too
a
much.
32-year-old
Mark.
woman, I feel like she has to have some perspective. Like, this is a 22-year-old kid. Whatever he's saying to her, like, why are you letting him sell you a dream to the
But he
tune of you're
wasn't.
going crazy on the internet?
I
Well, I
combed
tell
through
you
the
this:
evidence.
if he worked at KFC, she wouldn't have bought that dream.
She has no friends.
But like, it's easy to buy a dream if if the person selling it to you. I mean, like the upside is so. She's like, you know, maybe he is
But-
in love with me. You know what?
But
Maybe
but
he's
he
gonna give you.
didn't. He didn't do that, and I think it's important. I honestly think there's a default to assume that a man has sold a woman a dream, right? In this case, the woman is presenting all of every interaction she has had with this man for our viewing purposes, and I combed through it, and I'm here to show up as pro bono representation for Zion Williamson. He did not lead that woman on. He literally. Pussy for payment. That was the agreement. Everything says that. Snapchat this, I'll fly you here. Did y'all watch P-Valley? He wanted the relationship coach and Mercedes had. Okay, I have money. Let me move you close. He literally said, I don't have a girlfriend, but I'm moving here. Would you like to be my full-time? And she blanked the word out. Certainly girlfriend was not the word there. Everything in there. He said, how much do you cost? I want to go about this. He said, how much if I want you for 4 days, I'll pay you this amount. I'm trying to go about this with respect. Where's the love? She was sending him nudes with OnlyFans logo marks on it.
So
Olay,
then, is this a case of trying to be the exception to the rule? Did she think that by her sleeping with him, it'll make her change his mind? Is that what you think? That's what happened?
And they both don't have friends. Like, that's very important to point out. On the Pelicans, there's already talks that he doesn't get along with any of the teammates. He has no relationship with the organization. And at the same time, you have someone that, first of all, he's been caught up with this before. He got caught up in high school. At the end of his high school career, there was a Snapchat, a series of Snapchat screenshots, which is why it made sense that he was using Snapchat, because he got caught the same way. He used his own name, and he was saying a lot of the things that he's saying now, obviously without the money part, but he was caught, quote unquote, simping through the screenshots. And I remember at the time it was a white girl, so everybody just blew up about that. But now it's looking like also Moriah Mills, there's a video that came out of her on Wendy Williams asking, how do you get friends? So it seems like two very lonely people that found each other at a very convenient time, and both have what each other need and are kind of doing that to keep that part of their life stable, if that makes sense. And now he's ruined that stability.
I think if Zion were a woman, I think we would be analyzing these dynamics much differently. This 32-year-old woman who had, first of all, this is her job. This is her profession by her own admission. She has this relationship with other men who pay her for sexual relationships. And that's cool. That's fine. There's no problem with that. Do your thing, miss. But she does that. She has chosen he's 21, 22 now. She's saying it's been going on for years. This is a young boy who we just said by our own admission is in an area where he's alone. He does not have friends. He doesn't have this. You are a much older woman. She older than me, and I'm a grown broad. He's a child to me, and she older than me. All right, and you are now in this sexual relationship with this man, with this young boy, and then at the first sign of him doing other things or whatever, living his life in no way breaching the terms of your sexual relationship, you have now gone, put his career, his reputation. You've been on a spree, talking his every business, sharing his intimate sexual desires, whatever it is. If that were a 22-year-old woman, and a man was doing that, we'd want him in cuffs. We'd want him in cuffs. I lie?
I think that's my issue with this whole situation, is the fact that if the genders were reversed, there wouldn't be no 2-week tirade of her just harassing this dude. That just wouldn't happen. Like, he would have been shut down. Paige would have been suspended. He would have been off the map. So that's what bothers me, is like, we're laughing at it, but are we laughing because it's the woman doing the harassing?
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's the nature in which she's doing the harassing, personally. I don't think it's necessarily the fact that she's harassing, because, I mean, as guys, we've seen this with our friends. We've seen these situations play out, right? But I think it's just the nature in which she's doing it is just... And at first, honestly, I really thought she was just doing it to get adjacent follows to her OnlyFans and get her money up in that regard. Because I really didn't think that all of this was just, normal behavior that she was just exhibiting. I really think it was just a ploy to get more eyes onto her page, which in turn gets her more OnlyFans.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think she isn't well, judging from her tweets. Just the number of them, it's like some manic shit, right? But then on top of that, she's also like, wait, everybody looking? All right, let me drop a rap verse. Oh, everybody looking? Let me drive business. It's not either or, it's both and. But I don't think it's just that. It's if it were a man thing, I don't disagree that we will respond different, but maybe we should respond different. Just like if a white person, sometimes when a white person says some shit that a black person says, or vice versa, it ain't the same. Like, the power dynamics are different. Like when men stalk, like the shit that Zion is doing. If Zion were doing what Moriah was doing, men have the ability to kill women much easier. Men have the ability to stalk. He's also powerful and rich. So it's like, I agree we would treat it differently, but it's not just because, it's a woman. So, you know what I mean? It's because the power dynamics are different a little bit to me.
Let me tell you why I see that. I understand where you're coming from on the power dynamic, but let me tell you why I think I see it differently. As a defense attorney, I see it in terms of the criminal system, right? Which is where those things go. I have represented hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of men on these kinds of cases on being charged with harassment for much less. You called the woman 3 times, text a woman 3 times. She ain't like, call her friend, one this. And you in court. You're in court, and I've represented over 1,000 people. Very rarely is it a woman for the same thing. Like, the criminal system actually feels much differently when it comes to treating harassment and things like that. So maybe societally, we don't respond to men or take it seriously. But in terms of how the criminal system treats Black men, for much less than a fraction of this, that's why I find it to be a problem that she could be doing this in plain sight in this way.
No, that's real. That's real.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it. I mean, again, like, I've never seen a situation where a dude is where a woman's responding like this.
Yeah.
Where dude ain't do something or say something outside of them. Because she presenting the certain text. Well, what is he saying when they together? What is he doing? You know what I'm saying? Because if this is purely like, money for, like, if it's just a business relationship, she's acting real wild. And here's the other thing. She said her period was late. Like, she said, the first day. She was talking about, I might be late. You better hope I'm not, blah, blah, blah. Which suggests that they're having unprotected sex. Like,
yeah, she
why
said
is he
that. That's what
she was complaining about a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, like, so either he's letting her think that she's the only person that he's doing that with, or he's having a lot of, or she knows it. Like, either way, it's something real. Then that's
but he's
wild.
also
I mean,
he's also putting her in danger, right? Like, and he's also like troubling her professionalism, like, especially when it comes to sex work. They have to present papers before all those interactions. And so her first concern was, if I have something, it's on you. Like, that was what she was tweeting like a lot, was, if I get something, it's on you, which already indicated it was unprotected sex. So I think she was mad at him, I guess, disrupting her livelihood at first, and then it spiraled into something else.
Her livelihood, but also, like, maybe like, yo, like, you had me thinking I was the only one you was doing this with. Now, again, that's not even stupid to think that.
That is crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
But he ain't had her thinking that, because according to her, they had those conversations.
Look, if you see her TikToks and stuff like that, I think this will make a lot more sense. Like, obviously, you see her tweets, but it matches her TikToks, is what I'm saying.
They're video versions of what is happening on Twitter.
She got a TikTok account. Look. I'm just saying, this is an accident.
I'm good. I take your word for it, Playboy.
It was an accident. I ran into her account a while ago, and then just seeing that this situation happened, and I'm like, oh, this makes sense. She seems extremely
alone,
different. I don't know if I would just say alone, though. It seems she's a little off, though. I'm serious. I'm not even trying to be funny.
From the Wendy Williams interaction, it did seem like she's a little off. Like, especially even just asking how to get friends.
Part of me was thinking, like, is she serious? Is this an act? I don't exactly know.
It feels like a little bit
I don't even exactly know. So.
She'll post a series of tweets dissing him and then post a video of her twirling. So that's why I'm like, what's the deal? I don't really understand it.
She posted a video at one point. I don't remember exactly when she did it, but like, part of like the thing that she said in the video on TikTok was just like, would you date somebody or mess with somebody who used to do movies? That was her thing. And then right after I had saw that, this whole thing happened. Wow. And I'm like, I don't know the date of that video, but that's wild. That's wild. So I don't know. I'm kind of confused on what actually is going on. Like, her mental state. Is it the fact that she doesn't have very many friends? Is it, I don't know what it is. It seems like a lot of things. But to go on what you guys are talking about, taking sexual assault or harassment seriously, just like, I mean, I'm laughing now, and that's just kind of like part of the issue that we're talking about is, I think sometimes when a man gets sexually harassed or assaulted, people laugh. Yeah. Like, I remember I was in Vegas one time. I'm not even making this up. Like, I even laughed. Like, this girl was trying to do some wild stuff, trying to pull, I was on the dance floor trying to pull my pants down and do all that stuff. And then the whole situation, after it's over, everybody start laughing, and I'm even laughing. So like, it's not,
Yeah.
it's funny, but it's not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So even this whole situation that we're talking about, like we're talking about the power dynamics, is truly interesting because it really is. And I'm not sure how it would have played out if it was a different situation, especially since men do have that power and ability to harm women in a way that women do not. It's just true that they just, like, I'm sorry, if she really tried to, I probably would have kicked her in her chest, like, any further. Like, that's just me being honest.
Yeah.
I'm just being real. But I didn't have to take it that far because I'm just like, it's easy to get you up off it. But you know, as women don't have, it's not the same.
I think that's a part of the problem is your ability to get her up off you is a lot easier than their ability to get us off them. Right. So I think that's
Very
where
true.
a lot of that humor comes from. Like what Marc was saying, it's like the power dynamics in terms of physicality, I think leads to that humor in it because, she's not going to actually do anything to that guy. Like,
But,
you know what I mean?
But the problem with that is this, right? It's the same way, like, so like people think of like rape and these things as like straightforward, but it's not in the law. Like rape, it means, sex by force without consent, but all those different words mean something different in every different jurisdiction. And there'll be some places that define force as like physical force. Like, was there some kind of actual this? Meanwhile, another place, so if someone say you intimidate, you threaten somebody that I'll do something later, but you don't physically hold them down or whatever, a jurisdiction like that won't see it as rape. But we know psychologically how people respond to different kind of threats and environments and different kind of situations differently. And I think back to a time when I was a learning community leader in college, and one of my mentees who was a freshman asked me after class, like stayed behind after, to ask me whether or not it could be sexual assault that he was a boy, to tell me like a man, to tell me this story about this girl like assaulted him in the elevator, but him feeling like paralyzed with fear and feeling like because he's a man, he's supposed to want to, or whatever it is. So feeling uncomfortable and letting her do that. So I'm like, it isn't always just that because a man is physically able to overwhelm a woman does not mean that he cannot be in these situations. And I think it's important that we talk, we think of it in that way. Because that's why I wonder, I'm like, is there a certain level of, a lack of personhood we're assigning to like Black men and boys, which is kind of why this is what I wanted to talk about tied into the Sukihana stuff. Because on one hand, and I think this is obviously the larger conversation we got to have, this is obviously sexual assault. What happened is this is sexual assault. This is sexual harassment. What happened to Sukihana? On the other side, there's that other conversation of when Sukihana sexually assaulted a little boy, a Black boy, and not the outcry. So I wanted to put that to the group.
I mean,
I think for me, the whole... Oh, go ahead, Marc.
No,
Go
go ahead, Cindy.
I was just saying, I think the whole Marc situation, it makes me uncomfortable. I mean, the Zion situation makes me uncomfortable. It's just something is off. Sorry, the whole situation. I think the whole Zion situation just makes me uncomfortable because whether she's off mentally or she's not, something is off with that. And then the age difference to me is also weird. I get that he has money more than she does, but being in your 30s, this caught up over a 22-year-old, that's off. It's just, and for you to be, we're weeks in at this point. She's been going in for a couple of weeks now. Yeah. Over a 22-year-old to be in your 30s.
His employer.
Something is off. It's off. And you're still going.
Maybe
you haven't calmed down. I don't know what bag is that nice to where I'm 27 and someone 22, somebody 25, I'm not looking at you twice. So it's like
maybe she was down real bad.
I don't think so.
Think about it like this. She's living we're all living in this society where like reality TV is what's in, all of this stuff, all of this drama is lucrative. So it doesn't really, I mean, she might have at one point been actually upset about this and then no one stopped her. She kept going. She's getting attention from everyone. Yep. And it might lead her to being on some reality show. Like she probably knows what she's doing, whether, we're perceiving her as off or something like that. I mean, it's pretty calculated, the stuff that she's saying, she's cropping her messages just to show what she wants to show. She's creating the narrative that she wants out there. She's comfortable with the information she's putting out there. So I mean, it makes sense. We feed off of this stuff. And I mean, just the fact that we're talking about it, everyone is talking about it. It's on CNN, like it's everywhere. She's getting what she wants out of this.
Yep.
And that's exactly why she should be under the jail. And that's why she should be under the jail. No, hear me out. I really, no. We have to stop incentivizing this. I blame Selena Powell. I blame Kat Stocks. I blame all of them. I blame No Jumper. I blame academics. I blame everybody who was emboldened this bullshit, because honestly, if we let it happen once, it'll happen again. This should have been, like you said, that's because it wasn't stopped. And because when people believe something is lucrative and they can keep doing, they can make a business out of it, they do shit like this. And this is a fucking scene. This is obscene.
Yeah, I think that's the part that bothers me, is that there's so much space for these kind of spectacles. Like 20 years ago, even 10 years ago, she would have went on some website. You know what I'm saying? She went on somebody's radio show in New York or DC or whatever, and it would have lasted like a day or two, and it might live on YouTube forever. But now she can live narrate all her frustration every time she has an emotional feeling. She can live tweet it, and we love watching a car crash. We always love car crashes, but now with Twitter and Instagram and all that shit, like we have, it's so easy to watch the car crash over and over and over again, and it makes it easy to. And if this woman were to jump off a building, you know what I mean? Or God forbid, or if Zion were so embarrassed and so ashamed from all the stuff that she's spilling about him,
that's what
you know what I mean? Like, you know, I think we always think these things are funny until they're not.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know,
exactly.
This ain't going to end well. It's just not.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not. No part of this is going to end well.
I think about it like if a man I was involved with in any sexual relationship, we have an understanding, we agreement, nowhere we have that relationship. And for whatever reason, he's upset with me and he goes on the internet and he's atting me on Twitter every day. I'm trending. He is telling all my sexual proclivities, all my whatever, all my blah, 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 blah. You'd be upset for less. You'd be upset for less. And she'd be upset for less because like we said, she blocked me. I said she in the whole Olympics and she blocked me. So certainly she's saying worse about this young man every day, all day. If I go on Twitter right now from a different browser because I am blocked, you will see that she is still tweeting about him as we speak. That means she's going to sleep every day.
Like, I didn't know she was like going on and on and on like this.
No, she's still going.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks that she's been doing this, and I feel like it would be a different situation if the messages she was showing were like, oh, I'm in love with you, I want to be with you, you know, I want to make a life with you. But the messages she's showing is, okay, how much is it going to cost me for you to come here? How much do you want for XYZ? She's sending him pictures. Nothing about this is speaking to love or a future with this man. And I just feel like he's 22 and you're embarrassing him publicly. And I mean, you're 32, and this could probably help her career because, I mean, she's in the sex work industry. All she needs is eyes on her projects, and she's making money. But what do you get from tearing down a 22-year-old? Like, and he hasn't said anything about it yet. He's not taking this opportunity to drag her, anything. He's just kind of letting her go at it. And I think maybe that's, I feel like,
but also, like, it's not in his best interest to, like, I mean, I don't think he's taking the high road here as much as if he says, I really loved her, it wasn't like that, he looks crazy because he just announced he's having a baby and did this whole announcement. If he says this was just sex work, he's a role model. I mean, they just gave Morant 25 games for holding up a gun because of morality clause and stuff. Not to say that he would get that, but I mean, it's not good for business. He's in the Jordan brand. You know what I mean? He got a sneaker. Bad. You know what I'm saying? Like being associated with his shit is so bad. His team right now is leaking news that he's getting traded just so somebody could be talking about something other than
trying to change the narrative continually. Even his stepfather spoke and told us, believe half of what you see, none of what you hear, and that he's sticking by his son. And so even that is an acknowledgement that they see and know what's going on. And Zion stood in the back while he said that.
She's posting the conversations of him begging her over text to stop doing this. Allegedly.
And he keeps texting. Why is he still texting? Like,
this is the
22-year-old mind. Like,
I don't know if it's him. I don't know if it's him.
I don't know if it's him.
He's 22.
I don't know if it's him.
Yeah.
She's and on top of that is getting to a point where she's blackmailing him. It's not even just like, oh, I'm putting your stuff on Third Street. Like, she's literally saying, my wire transfer hasn't come through. I'm about to drop sex tapes.
I'm adding.
What are you doing?
She's adding
Like,
his
if you don't
employer. It's the maliciousness. It's malicious.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's evil.
It's
That's
getting
totally
to it's
fucked up.
getting to a. It stopped being funny weeks ago. After day one for me, I wasn't laughing anymore. And here we are 2 weeks later, and she's still going. And it's at this point, legal action is being taken at some point. It has to, because
it was never funny.
This is getting ridiculous.
This is
listen,
wow. Yeah, no.
Your
this is
feelings
insane.
don't got shit to do with my job.
I don't know if it's like, I don't know if it's a lack of self-awareness or something like that, or just so worried about the bag that you would just make yourself look this insane in front of everybody. Like, I know people are laughing, but they're not laughing with you. They're laughing at you.
Well, she has no friends, so does it really matter?
You know? I mean,
in that Wendy Williams interview, Wendy Williams told her that, oh, it's because your body, the way you've done your body is so overboard that women probably are threatened by you or think that you're something that you're not and don't want to be friends with you. That's what Wendy told her, right? And she goes, well, it's worth it, you know? And so she was perfectly fine being friendless. And no friend lets you tweet this long. This is crazy.
That's
yeah, if that was my friend, I would have took their phone.
My friend would have done been at my house and put Nia would have put my computer in the water.
Log out.
There wouldn't have been a tweet.
Yeah, no.
I'm calling the boys. I'm honestly calling the boys.
A wellness check.
Yeah.
But you know, I think we've been shown that some people will go to great lengths to be the main attraction on Twitter or on social media in general. Like, as far as people laughing at her, some folks don't care about that. As long as they're getting a bag at the end of the day, they'll be the laughing stock of social media to get what they're trying to go for. So I just feel like in seeing her behavior, I think that she doesn't care that we're laughing at her. As long as she's the main topic, that's her focus, which is dangerous. I mean, yes, we're laughing at you, but I'm afraid of people who will go to great lengths for a bag, and she's past that. Like, you had nothing to lose, and that's scary. Like,
and the problem
you're behaving as though,
What's even scary about that, Cindy, because I think you're absolutely right, and I think it isn't just that it incentivizes her to act like that. I think that's like something we are stoking in society in general. You know what I mean? Like, everybody looking for these opportunities to trend to this, to blah, blah, blah. Like, no sense of integrity. Everybody living on our content over everything type of mindset with people's real lives.
Yeah. But I mean, I just think that goes to what I was saying. Like, this reality show culture that we have, this going viral on social media, like, you have to be a spectacle to get attention, and once you realize that and you start capitalizing off of that, it's very dangerous. I feel like a lot of people, even in their personal lives, want this moment where everyone is watching them, and they'll do anything necessary to make that happen for themselves.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah, that's real.
No, that's facts. And
I will say her basketball knowledge is extensive.
Marlon,
what you mean by that?
She
What you mean by that?
She knows a lot. She knows a lot about the league. She told him he's gonna be bouncing around like KD. That's just crazy.
Her homework.
She told that man
she has to be
after
ready
everything.
For the job.
She told that young boy that she found after he already had a $200 million bag. She gonna say to him, after everything I did for you, like I stood by you. I told you was gonna be the next LeBron. No, she tweeted that.
When I saw that, I was crying. I was crying when I saw it. And I'm like, I need to get him back on the court. I don't remember last time I seen him play.
Right, he's busy doing right this now.
I know he injured and he's still getting cheeks.
Listen,
I mean, obviously injuries don't stop getting cheeks. I mean, it depends how bad the injury is.
So what I want to talk about is Sukihana, though, these videos, because there are two videos. Everybody's talking about the YK Osiris video, but more than the YK Osiris, what I really want to talk about is the other video. It's the other video for me.
Let's talk about it.
Make my skin crawl.
Yeah.
Have y'all seen the other video?
Yeah, it's the one that was like a podcast or something like that. And the dude was just being real reckless. She set boundaries, and he said, F those boundaries.
That guy was so...
And I know the funny thing is, it's not even funny. I know men like this. I have been around men like this, and people swear up and down these type of men do not exist. They do, and they have friends, and they got more friends, and they do all of this, and then they in a little group telling them that this is okay, it ain't no problem. Well, she wanted. It's that entitlement, right?
Yeah.
Like they feel entitled to. Sukihana is a great example because she says and does all the sexual stuff. So she ain't got no boundaries.
Right.
She don't want to be respected.
Yeah.
Right.
But
That's
here's
all
my
made
thing
up.
with that.
Like what? That's crazy.
Here's my issue with that, though. She is not the only sexual artist out here. And that's my issue is like, while yes, she's more, I guess, provocative than others. She is not the only woman artist out here who is sexual. And I think what bothers me is I do believe there is a colorist aspect to it and a body shape and size aspect to it. Because I ain't never seen Cardi B's boundaries get violated like that. Like I ain't never seen that. Not saying that they're on the same level, but
I'll also say she has sex on camera on the internet. So I think that aspect plays into. I think people feel a little bit more entitled because of that.
No, I mean, I feel like my thing is Sukihana is a persona. Like she is an artist. She is, you know, making content as Sukihana. But at the end of the day, she's a woman named Destiny Henderson or something like that. And that's who she needs to be protecting. So it doesn't matter. Or I mean, that's what we need to be protecting. It doesn't matter that in her music or in her videos, she's doing provocative things or she's saying provocative things. She's a real woman. She's a real person. She has personhood. And it should never be, oh, we're balancing whether or not she should be violated on her own performative action.
Exactly.
Like there's no circumstance where she does not deserve to have her boundaries honored or that she deserves to be harassed in public settings and have people around her not do anything in defense of her.
Yeah.
Especially when she's sticking up for herself too.
Cindy.
I also find that interesting because so often men will argue to separate the man from the artist or separate music from who he is as a person when it comes to a man doing like harassing or rape or whatever the case may be. But when it comes to Sukihana, it's her music and that's who she is.
Exactly. A bar.
That is so right. No, that is so right.
R. Kelly is not the same person as his music, but Sukihana is one of the same.
You're exactly right. Notice which people defend who and why. You're talking about exactly that because they pick and choose and it becomes very obvious because they feel like they have ownership over women in general.
Exactly.
They women to them do not have their own personhood, don't have their own ability to say no. These are probably the same guys that sit there and they get married or something and they feel entitled to somebody for sex. If they tell them no, oh, you can't have that. You married to me. I'm the man of the house. These are the same type of people, I'm telling you. And you hear them and they act like they're not saying what they saying. And I'm like, what are we talking about, man? You think I'm stupid? You think other people are stupid? What is actually going on here? And that stuff is very pervasive. It really is. It's all in our face. And what I also get upset as a man is other men not doing shit.
You know, I think worse
like in the videos that we're talking about, there was all types of men that didn't do shit.
And I think worse than other men not doing shit, what we really got to hone in on is Candy. The women there giggling and laughing and like going out of their way to legitimize it because that's what there was an effort Candy made to be like, oh, that's just how he is. Like, oh, this idea that men can just be like this. This is just what men are, and you need to accept that and adjust to that environment. Like you have to adjust to what the man is.
It's in their biology. They're supposed to be aggressive.
The boys will be boys.
They're supposed to do all this stuff. Boys will be boys. Like that's such a fucking joke.
And if I'm not mistaken, go ahead, Nia. You're fine.
No, go ahead.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't that Candy's podcast?
Yeah.
Yes.
And wasn't the guy like a co-host?
Yeah, that's her normal co-host.
I think her regular co-host, And
what's so my thing is, why aren't you checking somebody on your show?
She says he does this all the time.
I think more importantly, the fact that he
sounds like a whole sexual predator.
he does that repeatedly. It's not just like repeatedly he does it. Like
Yeah.
first he pulls out his phone, shows her his dick pictures. Then he's making all kind of comments and he's pressing up on her. And at every point, at no point, Candy is horrified, shocked, anything. She goes out of her way to be laughing like that's just how he is, which says that's just how he is, which means that is something she finds acceptable, permissible. This is something that they're comfortable with. And what does that say about what we have? What is already normalized and acceptable in our culture and community? That like we have to even come to bat for this, or that Meek Mill is like tweeting about oh my gosh, Meek Mill coming out tweeting like we gotta be cool with this, like, or not we gotta be cool. What did he tweet? He says, oh, Silky, hold it down on some street
Don't,
shit,
like,
like give
ruin
him
his
a
life
slap
or
on the
something.
wrist. Don't
Yeah.
ruin his life. Yeah,
Get your brothers
exactly.
on him, but don't press charges. Hold it down for the streets, sir. The streets don't even like
and,
you.
Exactly. Why are we so quick to want to defend him and not so quick to want to defend Sukihana? Like, I feel like the same deference should be given to her. She was the one who was violated in a public space, and no one is like jumping to her defense. But oh, please don't tear this brother down. Please give him another chance. Don't ruin his career. But at some point, like, you have to be held accountable for the way that you act in public settings. And you don't get to just, I mean, he apologized, but you don't get to just go over and try to kiss somebody. Like, nothing about the interaction called for that behavior.
Yo, it's mad scary. It's mad scary to me because, so, first of all, the incident itself, as y'all was just talking about, like, it's like this wow. Like, you just walk up to somebody and do that. Like, that's crazy, right? And then the comfort with which he felt, the comfort that he felt doing it, but also the fact that no one intervened. No one said like, "Yo, what's going on?" Imagine if a dude had walked up and did it to him. I mean, I'm sorry. Imagine if a dude had walked up and did it to another dude, right? Like, think of like how everybody would have been. Whole shit would have shut down, right? Because it was like this.
Oh yeah, they would have been swinging, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's this way that it's like, oh well, he's he can do it, and no one intervened, and this is where, men, everybody, but especially men, have to be more than just outraged. We in the moment we have to say, yo, this is crazy. Like, at what point do we intervene? If it had been a full, rape, we would have probably stopped it, right? If he'd been beating her, we would have stopped it. But like, what are the boundaries, right? It's almost like we just conceded that her body was up for grabs and for touching. But then when he apologized, his apology, well, two more things real fast. One was to me like you just said, the amount of defense that people gave. Like, let's not throw him away. You know what I mean? Let's protect it. Or, how's she going to be doing all this stuff in the world and still not expect people to treat her like this, as if there's some correlation between those two things. When we wouldn't say that about Black men who rap about gangster shit and shooting, you know what I mean? Or people, there's all kinds of stuff men rap about that we wouldn't expect the police or our ops or other people to take us up on in real life. Right. Yeah. Even whether it's true or not. But with women, suddenly it's, oh, you rap about sex, you talk about doing this, you eating this, you tasting that, so therefore you must want this at all times. It's crazy to me. And then the last part of it for me is like, yo, like, even when he apologized, and he said, I misread the situation, I appreciated that he apologized, because his apology was better than most. Like, the people caping for him. Or like dismissing it. He actually apologized, and it's one of the better apologies I've seen. He clearly said what he did wrong and why. But for me, the question still is, how did you misread? Yeah. What about that situation did you read as an opportunity? Because the fact that you could just see her there and read as an opportunity makes me wonder what other situations you've read that way.
Ooh.
That other men, all of us, can say, oh, that's a misreading of the situation. If that's our analysis, then it's like, does that mean whenever we see a sex worker, we think that we can do what we want to them? Does that mean whenever someone's provocative or sex positive, or is this, or is that suddenly that's a situation that we're reading that way? Because this ain't nothing to misread.
But that is what
I also think that there's an aspect of not knowing when content isn't content anymore. I think there's a lot of times where we see things go overboard in the name of content, where someone will seem like they're being entertaining and they'll feed into whatever narrative the other person already has or their brand, and they think it's warranted because it's content. Yes. And I think in this situation, with his track record specifically, I don't know this guy for his music. I don't know a single song he's ever made, but I know every antic he's ever pulled off on the internet, right? And I think he thought this was going to be one of those antics that would go viral, and it would be left as content and an antic, and it went to a completely different place that he didn't realize, because this blurred line with content where you feel like anything is good as long as it's entertaining and goes viral.
Oh, okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk about that's related to what we're speaking about right now is just like permission to do things. Like permission, like asking, do you want to do blank, or making it obvious? And I think that is completely lacking. I think a lot of men have no conceptualization of what I'm even talking about. Like in the slightest. They cannot read the room. I'm going to be honest with you, especially when I was younger and I was in college. I used to make some women uncomfortable because I would ask, do you want to have sex? And then they would look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, I'm dead ass. And then sometimes they wouldn't give me a straight enough answer, so nothing happened.
Yeah.
And that's just how I was just going to roll. Either you're going to answer the question, you ever answer the question or not. But there's a lot of men that don't understand what I'm talking about at all, because they feel like they have some sort of control or ownership really over women. I don't even know if a lot of men see women as
people, to be honest, the way they act. And I think this is just another example. But go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say on that, what you were just saying, I think there's a lot of stock that goes into doing things without having to be asked as a man when you're dating. And there's a lot of reward in doing things without being asked and knowing when to do it. And so I think that is more harmful than it is helpful, because a lot of times women reward men for not asking and just doing it. You should just know. You know what I mean? And
see, this is
I
why
think that's a double-edged sword.
Right.
I think that's a double-edged sword, because then you create a gray area where someone thinks that they could do what they're thinking you want them to do in a moment where you may not be thinking that at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that part is where it gets very complicated and very murky.
That's what I was saying.
You get this reward system that you feed into, and now it's hurting you.
Okay, I was going to say there's a very big distinction about what you do in your private relationships or, private interpersonal relationships between women and men than what you do on a public public stage.
Very true.
We can talk all day about consent in private relationships, but what about we're on a panel with 5 other people, makes you think, let me stand up and go and try to kiss you. There's nothing about that situation that warrants that. There is nothing no question was asked, like, oh, go ahead.
No, I agree, but I think that's what I was saying. To me is the general danger between us continuing to like incentivize a culture over everything kind of like world, combined with us not understanding and having the right understandings around hypersexuality or these kinds of things or sexual relationships. That's what I'm saying is that larger danger, because you see how it happens. I could say even I'm sure everybody who is a public figure in media anyway, whether it be YouTube, mainstream, has experienced some other person in the arena that thinks thinks you understand that you should implicitly be beefing for entertainment, for content, or do certain things and expect you to get it or go along with it, because they do kind of live in that world. And it is kind of this, I've seen people like operate like that. And I think it is what Marlon was saying. Like, I've only ever seen him, I don't know YK Osiris music either. I've only ever seen him in stuff like Dancing for Drake and blah, 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 and stuff like that, where he seems to be making a fool of himself or someone is being made a fool of. So,
Dancing for Drake is crazy.
But
he was dancing for
like
Drake.
what you're talking about. Yeah,
I did. 5K, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The man literally shooks and jives.
But that's the thing. That kills me though. And so he did that in front of everybody, right? So that leads me to believe that he definitely has no conceptualization of consent.
Right.
At all.
I think
in public,
that's
what this is. This is insane.
What's he doing in private? Yeah. I think that's my issue with the apology, because while he did apologize, there was one part in the apology where he said it wasn't my intention to violate your boundaries, but it was, because you didn't ask for permission. You had to violate her boundaries to do what you wanted to do. That was your intention because you were so deliberate in doing it more than once.
He didn't.
Or
He doesn't think she has any.
But I think the scary part for me is maybe he actually looks at her and reads her as somebody who doesn't have boundaries.
That's what I think is the. I think that's the tea.
That's the scary part to me. Is that
I think that's
I think he
clearly
looks
the
at,
tea.
and a lot of people look at black women in general as not having boundaries, but they definitely look at sex workers or hypersexual people or sex positive. There's a whole bunch of categories that we have. We say, oh, she's this, she's that, so therefore she don't got no boundaries.
But I
that's
think
the
the
scary
truth
part
is,
to me.
the truth is very much so that they don't. This is the thing, when you talk about rape culture, like, there's a reason why you say culture is it's pervasive throughout the entire culture. It's through the society, and you realize that people don't have an understanding of consent or drawing boundaries, because people's response to both Sukihana situations were like to post a clip before or after these interactions where her behavior to them is sexually this or open or inviting, which has nothing to do with the particular individual interactions where she's assaulted, where she is, saying no. And we see that, to the earlier point we were saying, when Marc was like, maybe if there had been more, it'd have been a different kind of act, and maybe we would have stepped in. And I don't think we would have, because if you look at even like a Meg situation, Meg gets shot, and the conversation was exclusively about men bringing up her sexual whatever and whatever relationship he had with them as like that has anything to do with being shot. So if they do that, then they will sexualize women and act as though you consenting to a sexual relationship has somehow opened the doors for any level of abuse or whatever comes after that. Then of course it's not surprising they do it in a situation like a Sukihana.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
It speaks to a larger issue that, women's autonomy over their body is linked to only what a man's perspective or perception of it is. Like, as women, Black women in particular, we're very hypersexualized. Our bodies are viewed mostly as sexual objects. I don't even think a lot of men think of women as individuals. They only consider what gratification they can get from the woman. Like, they don't care anything about their internal lives, their internal perspective. It's just about like, okay, if you're presenting yourself as a woman who is, sex positive, free, then okay, you're free for me as well. And even if you aren't presenting yourself that way, I don't want anything to do with you because I'm not getting anything out of this interaction. And I think a lot of men put women in these compromising situations because they don't think of them as people, and that speaks to how women are treated, especially Black women in society. Like, I mean, we've seen it from Keke Palmer's situation with Trey Songz, how everyone villainized her for even feeling uncomfortable in the situation where he was trying to dance with her or grope her in a music video or have her, in this video that she didn't consent to be in, because she was simply present there and her body is simply available to, do whatever he wants to do for his music video. I mean, we've seen it, like you said, with Meg. I mean, the stories are countless, from celebrities to everyday women. We don't necessarily get to control our bodies or what we want to happen to us, because that's just kind of not what's the standard in society.
Yeah.
And it goes a step further when you're a celebrity.
Spectrum.
Go ahead.
It's on both ends of the spectrum, because at the same time as Sukihana's videos going out, Miss Home Depot was getting doxxed because men said that they can see her being an OnlyFans girl and began obsessing over that. So it was like that whole week of Sukihana and Miss Home Depot was crazy.
At the same time,
we are surrounded by horny niggas. Horny niggas. The level of horny is insane. Like, people joke like men will fuck a hole in a tree. That is not a lie.
And it's all tied
but we're
together.
also very contradictory, because it's like on one hand we're saying we want this sex positive, very openly liberated woman, but at the other end there's just as much men, and some of the same men, chastising women who are in that light, who are choosing a sex worker career, who are presenting themselves as hypersexual beings. So it's like,
right, but those are the same issue because you're only seeing the woman as a sexual being, whether they're choosing to be that for themselves or you're making
or not.
them, right.
But the funny thing
exactly.
is, I
and it goes a step further when you're a celebrity too.
Yeah,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, I think all of this is tied together, which is why, like, originally even why I wanted to talk to them all together, because this is why I was saying, like, bad politics. Like, you could have all of these situations involve so much about, like, one, hypersexuality, but two, misogyny, and also how we view different groups, but also how we all suffer in it, right? Because we've described a bunch of situations based on how we view sex, how we view men and women's dynamics, and all these different things, and we have watched a bunch of different scenarios where every different demographic has been hurt. In the Moriah Mills situation, we see where how a man is dehumanized in these situations through these ideas. In Sukihana with the little boy, we see the way children are not protected over because how we view more boys and men. And then in the situation with Sukihana's assault, we see how we view women. We see it all the way, and it's all tied together. This society, and we all become agents of misogyny and patriarchy and all these different things, whether or not we want to or not. Because you see, even in a Moriah Mills situation, she's a sex worker, but she's still, everything about her rhetoric is misogynistic and is slut shaming and blah blah blah. She's holding up the other women, and she's even sex shaming him and all these different things because she's still educated in the same society otherwise, even though she's engaged in this work. That's why she feels the need to, like, distinguish herself from the other kind of sex work and create this hierarchy, because she's still trying to honor that. And then in a situation with a Sukihana, we see the way that Sukihana's sexuality or persona is used to dehumanize her in that regard. And then in the flip side of that, we see the way with a little boy, because we don't let little black children be children. We don't let black boys be black boys. No one feels the need. There wasn't the same speaking up for him until it was time to negate. You know what I mean? People only wanted to bring it up now. You see these black men that are bringing it up just to negate the treatment of women, because that's the hierarchy we've got going on in terms of, and we're just creating an oppressive system amongst each other.
I think it's so frustrating, like, just being a man and experiencing the things I've experienced and people in my life or people who are not in my life anymore. It's so frustrating when you're talking to other men who, like, are just so
they don't get
hypocritical. And it's just, and then they do this thing where they're woman haters, as I like to call them. And it's so frustrating because you hear this stuff and I'm like, nobody made you do that. Nobody made you cheat on them. Nobody made you hit them.
Yeah.
And here we are. What is this conversation? This is crazy. I'm like, do you hear yourself?
Yeah.
Do you actually hear yourself? And there is no getting to a lot of these people, to be honest. I've said some very close to me in my own family or whatever the case may be. There is no honest conversation to be had. It's just going to go back to the default thing of just hating women. And I mean, personally, like, I have to deal with this all the time in my own close relationships. And I'm just like, I can't even talk to you, dog. I don't even know what to say because there's nothing else to say.
Yeah,
like, reverting back to that BS. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, this is ridiculous. But we have to. I try my best in my different friend groups and people I grew up with or whatever to try to have these different types of conversations. And these conversations get railroaded immediately. Like, let's say toxic masculinity, for instance.
Yeah.
Oh, nah, we ain't talking about that. Nah, cut that out. Nope, we not doing that. And I'm just like,
well, you're
damn.
pandering.
Exactly.
Oh.
I'm like, then we can't have a real conversation. I'm like, maybe it might be you and what you doing. Like, there'll be a conversation just like, oh, women this, women that. And I'm just like, is it you? Are you messing with ain't shit women? Like, what actually is going on here? Because why is it always their fault?
Yeah.
You ain't never sat there and had some self-reflection or anything like that. And some of these individuals are doing some of the craziest dirt and then sitting there confused like, what did I do?
And
what did you do?
Because accountability is not something that's required of men. Like, you don't have to be accountable for the way that you treat women because across the board, this is an acceptable way to treat women. So why are you calling me out when I'm just doing what I'm allowed to do. You're really doing too much. I'm trying to have a good
Hey,
time.
speak on it.
And,
Yeah.
Speak
you
on it.
know,
And
Not
and
to
the flip
mention a
side
lot
of
of
that though
men
is
think that the world's so much better that they think, oh, it's not like how it was back then. I'm not treating you that crazy. Like, so what are you complaining about? You got this, you got this now, you can do this now. It's like,
You get a bank account. What are you doing? You can vote. Suck it
no,
up.
that's hilarious. No, but you know, it's the funny thing though. Like I said, for me, it's like you see these on both sides. Those exactly what you're seeing from men, right? You're seeing all of that, and then you also see, because like I said, it's not just that men are agents of misogyny and patriarchy. We're all in the same society. Women become very much so, deeply so, and women will be like fighting and arguing to advocate for like dynamics that oppress us and harm us, and you know, not thinking about the long game. And I think I saw that even with like, I had a follower tell me they gotta unfollow me off of saying Moriah Mills is harassing Zion. She said, you can't be speaking up for men. And she was like, and then another one say to me, wow, so women can't grieve now? And I'm like, it's Miss Mama's grief. Like, what makes you, you know? And it was just this argument.
Right.
I said, hey,
did someone die? Hold
right.
on.
Insisting that like she should be allowed, like it's somehow different. Like men are any less people, you know, in terms of feeling or harassment or anything. And I do think there is, and this is something, you know, I checked this in myself. Like I was once, me and Nia talk about this all the time. We always say we don't read bell hooks until we're ready to be told about ourselves. But bell hooks will say, you know, will point out to you like how as women, like we have these conversations, maybe it's a fear of not wanting to admit that you don't understand men, or that you don't think of men as, you know, human in the same way that you think about yourself, to get that you don't get them, you know, and and I think that is true. Like I once had a client check me. I once had a client, a black man. I was calling him to tell him I was calling him to tell him I was gonna get his case dismissed, but he started cussing me out immediately first, right? And like I remember just being like trying to cut him off to say to him like, I don't worry, like I know I have the good news, or I know what is the answer to your problem. And he said to me, how do you can't know what the fuck I want if you haven't listened to me. Like you have not heard what my issue is, or listen to me, or I've gotten to talk to know what I want. And I remember thinking, I did not like him, but I remember reflecting on that. Like, you know what? There is a certain level of me operating like, okay, I love the black man. I have his best interest at heart. So because I have his best interest at heart, I don't have to hear him. I don't have to understand him. I don't know him because I'm calling with what is the good news or what's to save him. And I think that is something I'm seeing here, like the inability to see, like, why don't we see Zion the same way I would see myself if my girl, it was happening to my girl? Like, is he any less a person? Is his feelings any less, or are we do men have any less sense of privacy or shame than we do? No. So, you know, and I think it plays on both ways.
I would have anxiety if I was him. Like crippling anxiety. If she was tweeting like this about me for weeks,
I'd be a little
and
scared
she
to
actually
go to
had,
sleep.
yeah, it'd be on my mind.
I would become a threat. I would become a threat.
Oh, yeah.
I would have been trying to end her.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Listen, y'all better than me. I would have put every narrative by morning. The narrative was gonna be about how I was a young boy when this grown woman came into my life to manipulate me, and I would find every young boy she's ever fucked. Oh,
Honestly.
she'd be a predator by morning, fucking around with me. She'd be in cuffs
Quickly.
Well,
Listen.
maybe that's what the Pelicans are gathering their evidence right now, just to
No,
put an
right,
end
but
to it.
that's
But
like at the top of the conversation. Her behavior is predatory. This is
Yes.
a child compared to her.
Yes.
He's a child with $1 million, yes, but his money didn't age him in any way. It didn't make him any more mature. He's not prepared for a situation like this. He is fresh into the league, like, and she's like, okay, well, I can manipulate him because he is young. Like, if he was a seasoned NBA veteran, she would not be able to carry out what she's doing right now. She is definitely preying on the fact that he's a child.
Yes.
well, this
exactly.
happens
Because
a
she said
lot
she's
more than we like to admit. Because I know
And that's the sad
women
part.
that watch the draft and gather social media handles and correlate spots the night of, and we're gonna link up here. Like, it's a whole calculated game that this NBA thing is. Well, sports in general, when you have these young players that come in with tons of money, tons of upside.
And
you remember Deion Sanders? I think he coaches I think he coaches college football, and he had
Yeah.
Brittany Rayner come in and teach a class on,
Mm-hmm.
being aware of women who prey on athletes and what signs to look for. And I think, I mean,
I didn't know
the
he did
NBA,
that.
I mean, the NBA and the NFL, I think they give like baseline financial courses to these players, but they really do need to be giving them some like sexual harassment and, how to conduct yourself now that you have fame around women, because I think it would help them greatly. If you're in a situation where you're coming from high school or you're fresh out of college and you've never been exposed to a lot of women now throwing themselves at you, a lot of women now looking at you as though you're an opportunity for them, you're not going to know necessarily how to navigate those situations.
Yeah.
And when you're 20, 21, 22, 23, you basically are like, just imagine you've been in a drought and now you have a surplus and you're like,
Yes.
I could do this, I could do that. You're not going to make good choices.
So
And that's real
and
tea.
people will prey on that.
Yeah, JaShawn.
yeah, I think this is really interesting. So I didn't play football or basketball or anything like that, but I was a student athlete in college and stuff like that. And I would never forget this because it was very different. I don't know how many schools actually do this, but we would have a little sexual harassment talk with this organization, and they only, if I remember correctly, only talk to the men. And when I tell you it was very uncomfortable, it wasn't exactly what you're talking about, but it's more so talking about like consent and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right? And, I mean, the story that they told is if I tell y'all right now, y'all gonna be like, what the So
Tell
it was
us.
basically, I think it was an officer. Go ahead.
No, I said tell us.
What'd you say?
Tell us. That's it.
So I guess it was an officer or something like that. And I guess the officer was like coerced into giving this person sexual pleasure, right? It was the most extreme, crazy, insane situation I've ever heard, because that don't even sound possible, right?
Yeah.
But kind of like when you go to like when you're in high school, maybe you're in 7th or 8th grade, you learn about sexual health and they tell you the most extreme
Yeah.
case
Yeah.
of getting an STD.
Yeah.
Like if you get this, you're gonna explode. Like it was very much one of those things. But the thing that's important though is like I came from that understanding that a lot of my peers had no conceptualization of consent, had no
Yeah.
conceptualization of sexual harassment or
Mhm.
any of those things. So
Yeah.
that was even in that way. So getting that type of thing, which they absolutely need, they need a whole, it's
Course.
embarrassing.
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
completely do not engage in this conversation whatsoever. People are, you can't do sexual education in a lot of places. They just straight up ban it. So you have people who graduate from high school having no idea what any of this stuff is. They
Yeah.
come out like
Yeah.
plumb idiots. And so what does that say about our society? What does that say about our education system? What does that say about everything? I think this is a massive issue that we just don't even remotely deal with.
During the
And I think your
pandemic, my
point-
city dealt with it a lot. Like, I don't know about anybody else's city, but in Toronto, there was like a lot of calling out of abusers and photographers who had taken advantage of models and all types of just horrible situations that had to do directly with consent. And I think the more that we highlight these things, especially in public, social media and all this stuff, like the kids are watching, you know what I mean? And the kids are learning. I have conversations with my cousins during like the holidays and stuff, and they're far more advanced in that area than any of my peers ever were at that age.
Yeah.
So I think the more that we highlight these conversations, like and the more we put a spotlight on them, the easier it is for people to digest it and learn what's going on for real.
Absolutely.
We need to stop shying away from it. Like, this is just really ridiculous, because at that point I realized, like, who else on campus is getting this conversation? It's just the men, student athletes?
Yeah.
What
I
about
mean, but
all
it's
the other...
It's
Go ahead.
interesting that you're saying that they only gave you a course on like how not to harass someone, how not to violate someone, but they don't talk anything about how not to be victimized or what to do if you feel that you're in an unsafe or compromising sexual position. And I think that speaks to Alami's point that like men are not given the authority to say like, oh, look, I feel uncomfortable about these sexual situations that I'm in. And, you know, men should want to have sex all the time, or you know, if you're getting attention from a woman, you should be, you know, grateful and into it. But a lot of men, I'm sure, feel very uncomfortable a lot of the time in the situations that they're put in by women. And you know, athletes and student athletes in particular, you know, because they are a group that is lucrative, a lot of people go after them because they think that they can get something. They should be given the tools at least to say like, this is the reporting structure if you feel uncomfortable, these are your resources, instead of just saying don't, you know, harass or assault, you
That's
know,
so
women
true.
or people that you come in contact with.
And it's even scarier when you're a celebrity too.
People are running around literally sitting there saying that men cannot be raped.
People believe that.
This is
both men
real...
and women. Both men and women believe that. It's scary.
It's literally crazy. And I'm just sitting here like, what, are y'all serious? And this is a real conversation that people have, and people really believe it.
And I think sometimes people don't want to have the conversation because, like I was saying, like with the follower feeling like, oh, you're defending men. Something I want people to often understand is, no, I'm looking out for my best interests too, because ultimately what we teach men and how harm perpetuates comes to you. And I'll give you an example of this. I have an ex who sexually, who violated me, right? And when I explain, like, that was a whole thing of trying to make him understand that, right? That you have sexually assaulted me, because he can't even, he looks at it as like, you know, I upset you, you know what I mean, in our relationship, but he doesn't see it as the assault, right? And then I remember he told me a story. A woman did the exact same thing to him, like the same situation. And I'm thinking to myself, and he's so like, he's telling me the story to tell me how uncomfortable he is and how horrified it is scenario. But I'm thinking to myself, oh, he's going to get it now. You know what I mean? Because God put him in the same situation now and he's going to get it. And he could not, when I called it sexual, that he was sexually assaulted, wait, like something he didn't enjoy happened to him, or he didn't like that, or he didn't want to interact with this woman anymore, but he couldn't see it as sexual assault. And because he couldn't see it as sexual assault for himself, he damn sure can't see it as sexual assault doing it to me. So I think that is the thing that we need to understand is like when we teach men, like when men are themselves existing in a society where we're teaching men to dehumanize themselves, not to see themselves as you know, they see themselves as feeling like they have to go along with every sexual scenario or whatever it is, and don't see themselves as having boundaries that can be violated. How the fuck they gonna respect ours?
Yeah,
because they think that's what is. Go ahead.
A lot of men are told that they're gay if they don't want to do something, or like, you know what I mean. I've been in situations where I straight up was just tired. I was just tired, and I was told that I was an entire different sexuality. I'm like, all right, cool. Like,
that's
I think it's even worse when you're a celebrity too, because there is an expectation that you fuck groupies and you enjoy all these sexual endeavors. And yeah, it's just, it's bad all around. But I really do agree that if men were to stop looking at being, especially sexually harassed or assaulted, as emasculating, as you would look like less of a man if you were to admit you felt uncomfortable in this situation, I think that's a part of the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. So we got there. Y'all see how it all tied in? Cindy. Talk.
I kind of wanted to go back to one part we touched on a little bit, but the way that women have internalized misogyny plays a role in this topic as far as how we facilitate in men feeling emasculated because they admit to feeling violated or not being in the mood. But also going back to Sukihana, the amount of women who felt like what happened to her was what she deserved because of how she presents herself.
Yeah.
Or felt like, well, if you don't want to be treated that way, then you shouldn't. Like, yes, there were men saying that, but what scared me the most was the amount of women who were saying things like, well, I mean, it would never happen to me because I don't dress that way. I don't act that way. And it's like, babes.
Women will disappoint you being harbingers of misogyny. Women will disappoint you in that respect.
Babes, but it was... So it's scary to me that while, yes, the culprit is misogyny and that's a man-created thing, the way that women have internalized it to where we can be predatory or we can facilitate and how y'all feel comfortable to admit that your own discomfort. That's scary too, because it's like, okay, you would think that if anybody would get it, we would get it as the ones at the hands of men's behavior. Yeah. And to see us not getting it, it's like, wait a minute, girl. Like, what is going on? So
Nia and I
definitely embedded the purity politics.
We are, listen, Nia and I both watch Sisters, right? Tyler Perry Sisters. And there's an episode storyline where one of the women is beat up, like fully assaulted by this man that she met, that she brought over. And we were horrified that in the show, all three of her friends, these women were casted to the storylines, was that they were blamed. They were like, oh, you've been sleeping around, you having your hot girl summer, so it's her fault. Mind you, the character herself wasn't even having a hot girl summer. She slept with like two men in the show, like 2, 3, whatever. But anyhow, they're like, you bring these men. Mind you, other women in the show have been assaulted, like by men that they're in relationships with or whatever. But the minute she's assaulted by this man she just met, they're blaming her and everything. And I remember me and Nia going on Twitter on purpose to the hashtag to see other women, Black women, be so horrified with us. Like, why? No. They were saying the same fucking thing, like the same thing. And I was like, we will never be free.
And that's what also scares me, is because to see all those women's opinions and like them saying, having this morality and feel like they're superior because it wouldn't happen to them because they don't act that way. You have girlfriends who were assaulted, who had on sweats and hoodies, who didn't act that way, who wasn't dressed that way, who are reading your opinions, and those are your homegirls. And it's like, that's what also scares me, is a lot of the revealing of how people really feel about the situation also reveals that your friends might not fully be your friends because they're holding these really unhealthy mentalities about who gets assaulted, who gets violated. And you're someone who was violated and you didn't do anything. You were asleep, and that was also scary to me, as women's solidarity just kind of dissipated real fast.
And even deeper than that, even deeper than making it seem like, oh, it's women because of what they're wearing or what they're doing. How it also feeds into rape culture and people not believing people is because it presents this idea that the person who rapes you or who sexually assaults you or harasses you is the boogeyman, is this evil man that's there, rather than reality. What I realized in law school we would go over rape cases, and the class would be divided truly on what was rape, what was harassment, and never come to a resolve. And it's something that I think we need to recognize is it isn't this boogeyman, this wicked man with a mask off. First of all, women and people and women, men, everybody, non-binary people are mostly sexually assaulted, raped, harassed, but people they know and trust, people who believe, not only people who purport to love them, but who believe it too. Like I just told you about my ex, that man believed he loved me, but he has no concept. His understanding of sex, boundaries, and everything, that's what's already hardwired in a way that causes harm to me, regardless of what he wants or he believes in his heart. So it's like, it isn't these boogeymen, it's the people around us, our friends, our this, who we love, who are all being indoctrinated and educated into this, and we're all perpetuating it, men and women. Because you're right, I know I have male friends, and that's how I realize like a level of dehumanization is I have male friends who will tell me, who's scared to tell a woman, who go through elaborate schemes to get out of fucking women because they believe because the woman is gonna go make fun of them or go call them or put their business out there and blah blah blah. And it's inherent at me, like, oh shit, you a person like me, you could be shamed like me, you could be this, you worry about this, you be in positions, you could feel coerced or pressured, but it's easier. Like sometimes like me and Nia talk about this a lot, where I'll think of sexual encounters from my early 20s and I'm like, I don't feel like I wanted to do that. I feel like I felt obligated or situationally pressured to this or blah, blah, blah.
Sometimes it's safer to engage than to resist.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's unfortunately relatable.
Yes. It's like you realize it once and then you realize it a bunch of times. Like the minute you finally unlock, like, wait a fucking minute. it is this, and then you see a bunch of things differently. And I think that is the, like, there has to be a more nuanced conversation to these things. It's very like, there is this need, I think, especially online, to pretend like this is very black and white and it's bad and good and everybody has a clear, and it I've never seen that in real life. When you talk to people about these things, the amount of lack of understanding that there exists among us all, male, woman, blah blah blah, and different like gender roles and societal expectations we're operating off of are crazy. Because they're right. I remember them asking in the class, like, us being so divided on what is consent or what was rape or was this. But then when you ask people whether or not they want affirmative consent, back to what JaShawn said, of women being like, at you asking them explicitly, feeling like you killing the mood or you blah blah and all these different things.
Yep.
And so we all become participatory in this like larger system that hurts us.
Right.
So?
And then you end with the conversation of, okay, now that something happened, do I have to ruin this person's life? And then you get what everyone was saying about the boy who assaulted Sukihana. Don't ruin this young man's life. Like, don't destroy his career. And I think even on a personal level, you feel like this, you may be put in a compromising situation by a classmate or someone that you consider to be a romantic partner. And you're like, if I speak up about what you've just done or what you're planning to do, then I'm going to destroy your life now. Now you're going to have to be engaged with the criminal system. I'm going to have to be engaged with the criminal system. And that's going to ruin both of us. So I feel like there's a lot of just trying to protect yourself and trying to protect everyone around, because once you speak out about certain things, then you yourself become a target of hate. And it's just unfortunate that, that's basically the motions that you're going to go through.
Even worse for women, if that happens on the internet.
Believed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't believed when they say these things anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
If this unfolds on the internet, it's over.
Yeah.
Twitter is a vile place.
Let's say the Sukihana kiss doesn't even happen on camera. Does half the internet even believe her?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because I remember the part when she said she went on Twitter and right before she deactivated, she said, I feel hurt and I feel unsafe or uncomfortable, like no one's gonna believe me or something to that effect. And people were questioning that, like, can he kiss you? But it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, you're doing too much now and blah blah.
It's always
so it's like you damned if you do, damned if you don't. In a lot of these situations.
But that's a great point that you just said, because it kind of talks about what we were already talking about. That idea that men have in their head that they're supposed to accept any sort of advances towards them. Like if a woman comes up to me and start making out with me, I need to make out with her. Otherwise, I'm gay or whatever I'm being accused of. Like you have to engage on it, or people gonna look around like, man, I would've. You didn't do that. Why didn't you do that? What's wrong with you? Something you know off.
And then the people that do stick up for you are only sticking up for you to counterpoint and discredit women. It's not because you actually got harassed. They want to use it as a counterpoint to discredit what women say. Oh, you did that, so I can do that then, right? Like, it's a lot of people try to make two wrongs are right.
And I think that again, that goes back to like when it's the same thing, but when you see the difference with how we talk about teachers that prey on students when it's the student is a boy or a girl, right? Like the minute it is the teacher is a woman, it's I would have wanted to be doing that in my teen years. And you know how many times I know. So we hear it don't even have to go on an interpersonal level. The amount of black male celebrities you've seen sit on interviews and describe their losing their virginity or when they started having sex, and they are telling obvious stories where they were predatorized as kids. I have heard that so many times, it is unreal. And I know so many black men that tell you stories where you're like, this, you were preyed on. This is it. And then these
Charlemagne's story was crazy.
D-Ray Davis is like, I've heard so many things.
Crazy.
And it's just like you're telling this story either, from this perspective of like, I became a man at a young age, and you're saying it as a rite of passage and a badge of honor, but then or you're saying it after you've reflected after a long time, like, actually I was, taken advantage of. And I feel like there's not a lot of space for especially young men to say like, okay, the first time that I had sex, it wasn't necessarily my choice. It wasn't something that I was interested in. But whenever it's a woman who is explaining what happened to her as a child, it's always like, you know, you want to comfort them. And you should, both parties should be, you know, comforted and given resources to deal with a traumatic sexual experience. But when it comes to men, it's always like, oh, you're good. Like, you know, that you should be lucky that that happened to you, that you had sex when you were like 12 or 13. You know, I had to wait till I was 18, but you should have, like, you should have, it should always be your choice. You should never have that moment stolen from you, whether you're a man or a woman. Like, you should always be in control of the sexual experiences you have. And no matter what, like, whoever you are, a celebrity, you know, a young child, you should have autonomy over your own body to say, look, I'm uncomfortable with this and it shouldn't happen to me. And I feel like
it speaks to how we view fragility in both men and women. Like, there's this hard exterior that men should and do possess that women don't, and so we should coddle and, you know, like, take care of the women in those situations. But men, you guys walk it off. Like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like,
there really should be some kind of therapy for just sexual trauma for men, because I think a lot of the reason why men don't want to hear these kind of talks is because it makes them to think about things they might have done or had done to them. And if they think about those, who do they go to be able to talk about it outside of a therapist, you know? But what outlet do they have to mentally and emotionally process those experiences? They don't really have one, even if they were the aggressor or the victim. So I feel like I wish there were more, it was more normalized, not just therapy, but to talk about sexual trauma with men. And just y'all have your own space for that only. That we're not a part of. That's just y'all space.
But that's the hard part. That's the hard part, because I've been in these situations with my male friends, and I'll try to talk about these things and they shut it down immediately. It's just like, it's so programmed in a lot of men's brains that they're not willing to even have the conversation, even if it's harmful to them and even to others. I personally, I don't know what to do in that framework. I truly don't know what to do.
A lot of times it goes back to, like, how we're taught to express feelings from a young age. Like, I can't remember who was discussing this, but talking about how when little boys cry, it's like, yo, what are you crying for? But when a little girl cries, it's like, what's wrong? What's the problem? Talk about it. So it's like, when you grow up as a boys don't cry and you're in that environment, it's a lot harder when you haven't been given the tools at a young age to then just get these tools overnight and learn how to speak about your emotions and talk about what's bothering you, because you feel like you haven't had that outlet for 18, 20 plus years. So it's like, there's no, you know, much level of trust you need to be able to do that.
And yet we expect them to.
It's a lot. And when you don't have that experience, you don't know who to trust with that type of information.
That's how you know it's real, when one of your guy friends tell you something and it's like shocking.
You realize in that moment what level of friendship you're at with a man when the more feelings he talks about to you. Like, it's in my friend group, it ranges. Like, there's guys who I'll never know what they're feeling in my friend group, but then there's some of my friends who are very open with talking about it. So it's like, I feel like you do reach a different level of man when you guys are able to express those feelings to each other and talk about it in a healthy way, because you're like, yo, it's relieving. You're like, oh shit, somebody else is doing this too. Like, so
Right. But I feel like it would be helpful, like, you know, in sex ed that's taught in school, to be more of an authentic conversation about, you know, not only the mechanics of sex, but the emotional components and, you know, the consent components, and just giving, from a young age, instilling that there is a space that you can speak about these things freely. And I feel like if we start that in schools, then it will be much easier for people as they grow older to understand and, you know, have compassion for people who are in compromising sexual situations, and not go immediately to blaming the victim or, you know, trying to tear down the certain aspects and components of the circumstance to validate, you know, the interaction for the man or for the woman in any perspective.
I know in
It's so
Canada,
fucked
sex ed,
up.
we're doing that at like age 8, I believe, 7 or 8. They get
that's
there's like
progress.
these consent books for kids that they're
Oh,
starting to
wow.
implement.
We ain't
And it's
doing that
like
over
teaching
here.
them about their bodies, boundaries, and respect and all that stuff. So I
Mm-mm.
know that's,
We need
but
to.
there's also pushback on that, which is
I was about to talk
equally
about
as
that.
crazy to me. Like there's
The school
pushback
board
on
meetings.
what age, like what age they should be taught these things. A lot of parents are not happy that they're being taught these things at that age. So it's like you constantly have this push and pull of conservatism and like trying to be liberal at the same time, and it's
That's
just
crazy.
it's a lot.
There is a lot of that, like out here in California, just unrelated to this, but related to what you're saying, having all these random school boards and, you know, moms and dads and whomever are losing their minds, losing their absolute
Yeah.
minds and boycotting and all this stuff, right? So this is like a point of contention. And the crazy
Yeah.
thing is, the parents are probably not going to teach them anything that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They don't want it to be taught in school, but they're not going to talk about it at home either. So
Right,
then you
what
just
also
leaving your
bothers
kid in the
me
wild, wild
then-
west.
But what also bothers
Oh.
me is a lot of these conservative families who don't want their kids to know this, their kids are being molested, like by church leaders. Like
You're
your
not
kids
wrong.
need to know. Your kids need to know consent because there's other like your kids aren't. The world isn't innocent for kids. It's just not.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think it's crazy that these parents are. Every other week, it's a church leader being a mugshot that I'm seeing being charged for pedophilia. Every other week, and
Yep.
I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah.
So it's like for y'all to be the ones who are so proud to be Christian and whatever your belief is, y'all need to be the main ones advocating because it ain't
Yeah.
looking too good for y'all. Like your
Yeah.
kids are
You,
at
you
risk.
didn't know? You didn't know emotions are liberal? Come on.
Like,
Have
yeah.
emotions and share emotions and empathy and stuff. That's for liberals.
I just find that to be
That's
very
crazy.
interesting that they're the main ones trying to prevent that kind of information when y'all should be the main ones spearheading it because
It's for everybody, like you said. It's literally for everybody, and it will make our society or societies better.
absolutely.
It's just gonna make everything better. We need to stop running from this conversation. And that's the thing that's frustrating to me, because the thing I learned is sex ed. I didn't learn nothing, but basically, if you stick your dick inside, it's gonna explode. That's what I learned. Like explode, as in you gonna get a disease and you
going
gonna be
to
in the
catch
hospital.
something.
You
You're
gonna
going
literally
to-
die.
It's that
Yeah.
Mean Girls. It's that Mean Girls scene.
I was looking.
For
They were
real.
showing all the images and stuff. I said, "Oh Lord, I don't want
The
that."
fear
I'm gonna have to
mongering.
think twice. Like, and that's all it
Yeah.
was. It wasn't about the reality of it all, and it was literally we had to get permission slips and do all this. I swear, I really only remember it being maybe an hour or something. Maybe
Yeah.
it might have been multiple times. I don't even think that. I
Sex
think
ed
it was
was
literally like
definitely
an hour or two.
abstinence pushed.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
from Ohio, and I know things are getting even worse in
Yeah.
Ohio.
Mm.
So I can't even imagine the lack of things that they're learning over there or getting
Especially
to.
the
Or whatever.
closer your state is with church and state, that's when
Yeah.
it gets even like a little bit wilder because it's like they don't want those things taught at all.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. I think it's beyond like just the sex education thing to which I was talking about earlier with how we talk to like young boys about their feelings versus young girls. I think there is a level of we don't treat little boys like children. They never get to be kids with feelings. We're training them with this like hyper masculine, toxic masculine, like anti-emotion thing. And then somehow at 18, we expect them to be fully actualized men with all these tools we didn't teach them. Like something I'll notice is even like with the John Morant situation, I have never seen more pushback than me suggesting there be any level of grace or like societal role in how John Morant comes to be. And a lot of what I'd see is like women saying to me, they'll be like, oh, he's a grown man. He's 23, he has a kid. If I'm saying to you that we raise boys in a world where we teach them that masculinity, that this is how they show that they're cool, that they're men, violence, guns, these kinds of things, blah, 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 blah. That's how you raise them. You teach boys and men that they're supposed to act out, or they're supposed to, violence, aggression, other things, and talk about their feelings or what they're going through. Why is it surprising that at 23 years old, you give, who was just previously, that's how you're raised, that's the world you're living in, a young man, why would he have the tools with now millions of dollars? How was he any less to what Nia was talking about earlier? It's like, we act as though being, like, if you give somebody money or you give somebody fame, that changes who they are architecturally as a person, or what, like, trials and tribulations they have to deal with, or the lack or presence of tools. And I think that's something we keep seeing. It's like, you never let Black boys be boys. You never let them have emotions and feelings like everybody else. And then you're surprised that they don't handle it maturely, that they don't come to you. And also that we act as though we can't conceive of Black men even having something to be going through. I'm like, why is it inconceivable that a 23-year-old Black, like, who had to spend their entire youth, grooming themselves to even get into this career? They were never even a child like everybody else. In order to get there, is the amount of sacrifice that even has to happen. You're already commoditized. You're already seen as a product. Yeah. Then you're in an industry and job that extends to your entire personal life, and you're being scrutinized by millions of people. Why is it inconceivable that you might act out?
Mm-hmm. And that starts in high school now. It's not even in the NBA. That starts in high school now, because with social media, when you're the hot kid, Zion Williamson I've known that kid since grade 9. Like, we've watched him grow on the internet. He's been famous since grade 9 because of his ability to put the ball in the hole. So it's like, he's had that level of scrutiny since grade 9. I can't imagine that. During your development years, you are under a magnifying glass. Not to mention, everyone's depending on you now. Yes. Now you can't let people down, and you have to walk this tightrope of perfection. You can't go out like your friends, and you're not afforded the ability to make mistakes like your friends do. You know what I mean? And that's all we did as teenagers, is make mistakes. So now when you're in this league and now you finally have the money, you're by yourself. Parents can't tell you what to do. Coach can't tell you what to do. It's a wild west, man.
You're exactly right. And they got this extra smoke for niggas.
Mm-hmm.
We already know this is true. We already know extra of just ready to go for Black people, just ready. Just ready to go.
And we join in. The worst part is that we join in.
I know.
I think that's I'm telling you, I would have expected, not only do I feel like anytime I try to show a Black man any kind of grace, but even in particular with the John Morant situation, it's not only that women will jump on you, it's that men will jump down your throat too. It's crazy. Like, you talk about a Tory Lanez and they talk about how you hate the man, and then when you try to give a John Morant grace, they the ones on your head. And I think it's this. And I think it's because it's a certain level of, like, being hazed, like, because I've been through it, or because there's no grace for me, I can't have grace for another brother in my situation. And that just fosters this certain level of continuing to dehumanize one another, because I was dehumanized. Like,
right.
I remember I tweeted out with the whole John Morant situation. I tweeted out that I feel like it's a form of self-sabotage from all the pressure of his life changing so fast. And people were up my ass. Like, no, he should just work with it. He should deal with it because he's here now. We're all trying to get to that point, so he should be okay with it. And it's like, people look at success and think that because you want it so bad, anybody who has the kind of success you want, they should be okay with it and they should be fine.
Yeah.
But your life changing like that, and no one around you can relate to the pressure, to the change. Yeah. That can result in you acting out because you don't know what else to do, and especially him being young. And it's like, there is a lack of empathy for people who make it. And with the way
there's a projection. There's a projection that happens because everybody thinks that, oh, you made it and you're making all this money, so you must be better than me, and you must at all times maintain the standard of better than me in every category because I'm trying to be better and it's not working for me.
And you know what's scary about that? This is what's scary. It's a dehumanization of celebrity, but the most terrifying part of that is celebrity has changed in our world. The threshold for who's become a celebrity gets very low. People start viewing you that as a niche area. You have 10,000 followers on Twitter, and now there are people who don't think you're a person. You know, they think you're not a human. They perceive your followers as money. They perceive you as there.
and they put the same standards on you as they put on a Diddy responding to drama or whatever it is, and like something that I find insane because I hear this every day. Anytime I mention online, if I go to route somebody, I point out some negativity that I get. People are like, why don't you just ignore it? Or you get all this love, blah 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 blah. And it's people projecting their own. It's like the average person I know, everybody I know has some kind of trauma because their mama said something to them one time they didn't like, or their daddy or a classmate or a ex. One comment could sit with you for the rest of your fucking days. Like, people will be immobilized their day, their week different based on one passive aggressive comment a coworker made. But yet they act as though because you have followers or you have fame or you have money, you somehow are less person than them, and you can just consume. Exactly. You just could consume people shitting on you at any given time. And I think that is something that gets left out of the conversation. And if you live in a world where we live now, where people are on content over everything, or regular people can try to become famous or achieve this kind of thing, then we engage in this world. We now are broadcast dehumanizing everyone in our society.
I think the theme of today is, well, you chose this.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off.
And I'm like,
that kills me because you're not supposed to be a human.
Yeah.
When you become famous and stuff like that, you're not supposed to be human. You no longer are human. Like I watch basketball a lot. See Charles Barkley say some goofy shit, and I'm just sitting here, just like, nobody is saying everything that he did, Ja Morant did, is okay. Yeah. I'm not fucking saying that. I'm just saying y'all talking crazy.
Yeah, y'all doing the most.
Y'all want this man to be a slave.
Like this, what y'all talking about is insane.
It's that $40 million Negro thing.
All of this, it's literally insane.
Yeah.
They won't even humor that multiple things can be true. I've never been more frustrated. Like, I put out what I thought was the most thoughtful analysis. I'm like, y'all don't give me this much pushback when I say abolish the fucking jails, open the prisons. I'm like, all this grief because I'm like, hey, could multiple things could be true? Like, yeah, sure, it's an NBA policy. They have every right to punish him. If they're fine, you could think it's stupid. You don't have to feel sympathetic because he did it twice, whatever. But can it also still be true that there are a lot of respectability politics and need to police the black man motivating what's happening here? Could it be also true that there are reasons why there are pressures or things he could be going through in life, despite however much money he has, that explains why things could happen? Yo, people will respond. You literally showing them the racist comments that people are saying. You showing it. I'm showing them, and they're like, nah, I don't agree with you, sis, because he's rich. It's just something. What? What do you mean you don't agree with me on this thing? Because
he's rich, he should be perfect.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention, he's in a state where everyone has guns. Like, we seem to just skip over that. This is a part of regular life for him. So it's like, why are people so surprised that he has a gun in Memphis?
Memphis has grown up in Memphis, Kentucky, the Carolinas, gun-toting places. I'm like, so that there's no context for that at all. This is, and again, people think right? And I'm like, it's unreal to me that you could live in a country where they celebrate guns, all the Republicans and everybody guns and patriotism, all their families are blickied up at every fucking Christmas photo, but yet you want me to believe this black boy with his legal gun, this young black man in his legally owned gun with no crime committed, is the end all be all devil fool and deserves any level of punishment? Fuck y'all. You know what I mean?
That is so true. I'm great you brought up that the politicians and stuff, especially the Republicans who have all their AR, shotgun, all the stuff, kids holding it, all of that stuff. That is perfectly fine. Ain't no energy for none of that. Even our own black people ain't no energy for that. It's kind of like, whoop, whatever. But Ja Morant, I got all the smoke for you.
Right, and
I got all the smoke for you.
Also interesting.
Is it because we want them to him to behave in a particular way around white folk?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, because it's interesting that the people who are so pro-gun, pro Second Amendment, want gun rights for everybody, haven't said a thing to defend him having a legally registered gun. And they're big consumers of basketball, but they don't have anything to say in his defense because as a black man, he shouldn't even have that gun to begin with. When we say Second Amendment rights, we don't mean for him. at all.
We made it
Yep.
for us,
Take
exactly.
away
Speak
his
on it.
money, suspend him from the league. We do not care. He should not have that gun. So that could be what's normalized in the Black community, that you can't, that you shouldn't be able to have what's legally allowed to you.
Yeah, where's
Yeah,
Charleston Heston?
it's that.
Where's Clint
Yeah,
Eastwood?
it's that assigned criminality.
Yeah.
It's just inherently assigned to him, and then even Black people eat that up.
Yeah. And
You're
they're
just like,
talking
well,
about,
he just. Go ahead.
yeah, they're talking about, oh, he needs to be a role model for the community and all this stuff, but no other person that carries a gun is a bad role model for children. Like, you want everyone to be able to have these guns. You take your kids hunting, you know. Who is it that's being influenced by this man who has his one gun and minding his business?
And also,
like to the large.
I think he's influencing other Black men to get a legal gun, and that's the problem.
You know? And it's crazy, right? That shit they're saying, and it's nuts. Like when you see the level of dehumanization, right? Because this is back to the pressure and how we could feel. What do you see? A lot of the animosity you see Black people having for him is because this perceived idea that you made it. You should be so grateful. You should be this. And let me just say this. Only with Black people are Black people expected to treat getting the actual rewards of their talent or their success as being grateful to some like universe plucking us out and saving us. White people are never expected to be like, to put the whole white community on their back or to be so grateful for the universe that they received the accolades associated with their talent. Why does a Black boy, Black man being good at sports or being able to achieve the success commensurate to their talent owe you a motherfucking thing? Like, they should be so grateful they made it. Why is this idea that like we should be so right? Like, and I don't think we self-reflect on this. Like, that's the motivation. It's like, you got it. You got to look. No, he's talented in a way that the rest of us are not. Like every other athlete or whatever it is, they have their individual life and goals to pursue their way. And they should not have to feel like the whole fucking community feels some personal stake or anger at them for how they live in their individual life or how he's going through his 23-year-old motions or whatever the fuck.
Constantly
because
being made a monolith.
as a Black person that's so lucky. Exactly. And imagine wearing that pressure on your back of people looking around you from a young boy feeling like that. That's my take.
Well, I think we can all imagine that. I think we can all imagine that in some regard.
That he has.
Exactly.
Simply living in the gift that he has, and he is making a way for himself and for his family. And the rest of the world is obviously watching him because, you know, we are big consumers of sports entertainment, but he doesn't have the whole Black community on his back. Like, that's just not true. Like, he is making a way for himself and he is making a way for his family. Like, there is no moral implications for him not following the rules on the whole Black community. He doesn't want to do it. That's on him. And that's the end of the discussion. Like, he knows what he's supposed to do. And if he doesn't want to do it, there's no conversation about the type of person that he is. There's no conversation on how his behavior influences young people. He's a young person himself. Like, the only person that he needs to be accountable to is his own child, who is like, hey, Dad, like, that's my money too. So, like, that's it. It's not There's no greater moral implication.
Yeah.
He has a legal gun. He's flashing it because he wants to, and okay.
Yeah, people are acting like he owe them shit.
Yes.
Like, that's the thing that killed me. I'm like, this man don't owe me shit. I don't know this nigga. Like,
you were
I
never
don't
getting
care
a
what he
percentage of the
does.
cut. You were never getting a percentage of the cut.
Exactly. Why y'all going in like
People
he's
were
supposed to
let
run y'all a
down.
check? Y'all acting like he is fucking up y'all bag.
Disappointed.
He's fucking up his bag.
Yeah, a lot of times people take up this like ownership over it, like as if you suggested this person for a job and now they're making you look bad.
Exactly. No,
Like-
exactly. It's exactly. And it's always, you know what I've noticed, and this is something in general, I feel like the Black people would be most concerned about like respectability politics and trying to like police how Black people act in certain rooms are never in the fucking room. They're always trying to tell somebody how they can exist in
They
the room.
ain't even in the building.
I've never been in, can't get in.
They have a
always
perception
talking
of what the
bullshit.
room looks like, but they don't know.
Yes. You know how many
That'd
times
be
I
the
see
most
Black
annoying
people
part to
online?
me is the fact that like. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that's the thing they do all the time. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen Black people online tweeting at me that my hair shouldn't be red or my nails shouldn't look like. I can't do the thing they watching me do. They watching me on the news, telling me I can't be on the
Uh-huh.
news in this particular way, or you can't this, you can't. You see me fucking doing it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
It's like, well, you do
I
it,
know
man.
you.
You show me how it's done. You go ahead.
I know y'all saw the discourse, and unfortunately, this apparently I think took place in my state. The whole dentist shit, like not being able to wear a bonnet, house shoes, and shit. I'm like, Lord. And then some people literally arguing people down.
Listen,
If I got my hair, because my hair is long. You know, sometimes I got my afro out and stuff like that. And sometimes like, if I get my wisdom teeth pulled out or some shit, I might wear a motherfucking bonnet. You gonna rip my teeth the fuck out or do a root canal? This is the goofiest shit ever.
Here's my issue. Here's my thing about it.
Come on.
Not everyone wants to wear a bonnet in public. That's cool. That's fine.
Mhm.
What bothers me are some of the ones who don't wear bonnets projecting such anti-Black rhetoric on those who do. I have had my comments full of Black women calling me all kind of cockroach, ghetto ratchet trash, because I said we should be able to receive health care no matter how we look. If you don't want to look a certain way, that's cool. But to look at somebody who looks like you and in your mind you classify them as trash, as a roach, because
you know what it is?
their head is
I
covered.
promise you.
But you know why?
I promise you they are. Go ahead.
I say, you know what?
Go ahead.
What I realized about respectability politics, the same things, the same phenomenon we've experienced earlier with the other things we've been talking about, is when people feel like they have had to experience something, or they felt like they had to be confined to they had to play a certain game or have certain rules imposed on them. They thought they had to do that to be in the system. They have so much resentment and animosity towards anybody they perceive as not operating within the rules that they felt, confined and constrained by. So they cannot, because it's always people. Listen, Twitter and Instagram are totally different worlds. Like, demographic wise, people on Twitter, the reason there are think pieces on Twitter is because Twitter's a bunch of college people. It's J. Cole listeners versus Gucci Mane listeners. If we took win Instagram versus Twitter, right? When you think about what you seeing, right? But when you see Twitter is all of the Black is where everybody, the Black people are going hard for against the respectability politics and the bonnets. But you go on Instagram and the people who the respectability politics are there to hold back are the ones fighting for it in the shade room comments. Like, when I saw in that bonnet thing, they going so hard, and every one of them I click on is a working class person who would be excluded from these rooms and all this bullshit that they talking about based on the standards and dynamics they're trying to keep. And that's what I realized is it's like people feeling resentful. Like, who the fuck are you to go and wear your bonnet and think that you're still going to be successful or respected when I couldn't do it?
Yeah.
People did that.
Real. So,
2017, I started this hashtag. You can look it up right now. Durags in public. And literally it's because my hair was long for a long time. Like, that's all anyone had known me for. And then I cut off all my hair, right? And I remember going out in a durag and people looking at me crazy. And I was just like, what is the big deal? Like, there's literally designer durags. So it's like, it's not like this is just meant to stay in the house. I don't understand. And I started this hashtag and and it's like you see people like going out, and so many people shared their stories with me where they wanted to wear the durag to just put out the hashtag and take a picture and all that stuff, but they actually were getting looks in public, people asking them why they're wearing that. Like, it's just crazy, man. And now to see where it's gotten, especially with durags, I think durags is a lot more acceptable, quote unquote, than bonnets. But on that note, Jack Harlow last week took a picture wearing a bonnet and took pictures with fans, and it was just like, oh, Jack Harlow wears a bonnet. Like, it wasn't, what is he doing out in public with this? It was, oh shit. Like, So I'm just, it's just very confusing
There was
sometimes.
a stark difference in the comments. Yeah.
And I think that is all about, again, internalized anti-Blackness, right? Because there's a reason, like I said, we impose these structures and we create a hierarchy amongst us, because there's a reason why we let black men off the hooks with do-rags before we let black women and their bonnets off the hook. And it's a reason how we see these things, because I saw a lot of comments of women being like, oh, you could wear a scarf but not a bonnet. Why? Because the bonnet is black. Because it's just more clearly indicated.
I'm gonna take off some satin to put on some other satin.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I over here, like for instance, I had a situation, right, where I was at an event. It was a wedding, and it was the day before we was helping set up, and I just kind of basically got my hair done, so I was wearing my bonnet. There was no reason for my hair to be out or nothing like that, and I'm putting stuff up, and somebody there was just like, do you always wear that? So what kind of question is that, nigga? What do you? And nigga, I wear it when the fuck I want to. Like, what is this shit? And I didn't even know him. I didn't know him. This is my first time meeting him. And I'm like,
the audacity.
And then he was, I'm sitting there like, what is this man talking to me about my bonnet? And then the bonnet that I have is kind of like purplish pink or whatever. A lot of bonnets do not come in guy colors or whatever. And I also don't care. They don't care. And so I did that, and he was just asking all these questions. I'm like, I think it's a little strange that you sweating another man over this. This is kind of, what's actually going on here? And then also here at my apartment, so like at my apartment, this white lady at the front desk, she said something that was so interesting to me, and I just didn't know what she thought I was going to say to her. She was just like, you're just so confident. Confident. Like, what are you talking about? She was just like, oh yeah, the thing on your head. Like, what are you talking about? What do you mean? This is a thing that has a function that goes on my head. I don't understand this conversation. I think you're trying to be nice. I don't know what you're trying to do, but I don't really take it in the way that you think I'm supposed to take it. It's a weird ass conversation.
Well.
Maybe. Oh yeah, don't even get me. It's very much that vibe.
Do not get me
It's very much that vibe. And I'm just like, I didn't know what to say to her. I think I said something and just like, okay. And I just walked away. Because I'm just like, what exactly am I supposed to say to this? I got this hair on my head. Do you not know very many black people? Are you confused? Are you talking about the color of it? There's so many different levels here to what you could be talking about. But the fact that people will come up to you,
have the audacity,
question you over it, and I don't even know you, and they get shocked when you give them a little bit of smoke back.
Yes.
There's one thing people are going to have is the audacity.
People think you need an explanation for Blackness. People always think, that's something I've recognized. People always think you need an explanation for doing anything overtly Black. And that is something I realized. Like, someone asked me, and me doing this is the second Olay and Friends, someone said to me on Twitter, I feel like it was racist or that you went out of your way to get everybody Black. And I said, blocked.
You have a problem with Blacked? Here's the block.
What are we saying?
All the shows are all white. But all the shows are all white. You would never see it. Because you see whiteness as the default. If a white person named the show Becky and Friends and 6 white people was up there, that makes sense to you. That the white girl have all the white friends who Laguna Beach is. That's what all the shows are. That's what everything you watch is all white. But you feel like I need an explanation to you to have a group of Black people, or you feel like you're so shocked that there isn't a token white person, there isn't at least one white person there, because you are taught to believe that whiteness should always have a seat at the table. Whiteness should be present. It is the default. This is the deviation. And I think what happens is we internalize that ourselves, and we portray it out in every other aspect of our society. Like, you see a Black person do something Black, you're not scared to do that? You're not worried about that? Why?
But my thing is, like, how are people not cognizant of the fact that they're realizing that this is Blacker than usual? You know what I mean? Like, I remember seeing a commercial, like a cereal commercial years ago, and it was a Black man, white woman, light-skinned daughter, and I noticed it. And I'm like, the fact that I noticed this means it does not happen that often. So, like, when you recognize something like that and it's abnormal to you, why aren't you questioning the opposite? Why am I not seeing more of this? Why is this such a rarity?
Oh my goodness, because this reminds me of the whole conversation of like forced diversity and then people losing their mind because they see a singular Black person in a commercial. And then they'll literally say crazy things like, there's no more white people in commercial. I literally see this and people are dead fucking serious. And so to go back to what Olay was saying, I had an interesting thing happen when I was in college or whatever. So I'm sitting there, chopping it up with my cohort or whatever. And they found out that I'm in a black fraternity or whatever. And this person looked at me like I just committed a crime. He was just like, don't you think that's counterproductive?
I hate when they say that.
To be in community with your own people.
Whoa. I'm fucking confused. What you mean by I was so taken aback. I didn't even understand what the fuck. And I was just like, what do you mean? And he was just like, it's a black only fraternity. No, the fuck it's not. I have white.
What if there was a white only fraternity?
Yes.
Like, it's the stupidest fucking thing. Why are there no straight months? Like, it's the stupidest fucking argument.
It's stupid. And I didn't know he was like that. I went to grad school with him for 2 years. I didn't think he was that type of person. And it was just so embarrassing and ridiculous. And I'm like, do you know why black fraternities exist? Do you know why black universities exist?
Y'all wouldn't let us in.
It's because of people that look like you. And you over here going at me for people that look like you. And saying that we're somehow invented the separation or the delineation or it's so crazy. And then some people were looking at me like I'm like, because I was like educating him and I was getting really fucking annoyed. And people around me was just like,
whoa, calm down.
Calm down. It's just an honest thing. I don't know. Like nobody really knew. So
racial gaslighting is crazy.
God. And I'm just sitting here like, but he made an accusation that I'm self-segregating when I went to a university, a PWI.
Same.
Like, what are you saying? I'm surrounded by white people at all times. I was on a track team full of white people. There was only 2 black people on a track team.
Wow.
Because
that's when you know it's white.
I'm saying that again.
That's when you know it's white.
Here's the thing. Here's what I think is important, right? Like, because they must always be centered. And this was a conversation me and you were even having earlier this week, but it's just like, I truly believe in ignoring white people. Like, I really, on certain respects, because the fact that they ask you the question is a reflection of them feeling entitled to you answering them, responding to their needs, and centering them, because we can't ask no other group to explain to us why they do shit within their community. And get an answer. We can't do that. There's only them. They only with us. And the problem is we take the same responses because we're so used to them doing that to us. That's what it means to have whiteness centered and white privilege and white entitlement. We do it ourselves. We're constantly responding back to other black people that aren't doing it and go, excuse me, what are you doing? Not thinking about what white people are going to say. Saying to white folks.
You can't do that in front of massa.
We did that.
You can't do that in front of massa.
Was fighting at the Vogue party. Oh, you're not gonna be able to get back in the run, Cardi. We do it to this one. We do that. We always doing that. Like, why aren't you? Excuse me. Bad. You're misbehaving by not taking into consideration white thought, white feeling, white sentiment. And what I realize is something why I created Olay and Friends. I'm like, in real life, I talk to nothing but black people are not. They love to treat you, especially I think when you're a public figure or you're a media person, they love to make you feel like you are so special. You're such a hard find. You're a needle in a haystack, that there's this scarcity of black talent. And that's why they could only ever have one of us in the room because they can't find any others. Meanwhile, in real life, I know nothing but dynamic black people in every field all across the place who are able to have all these conversations and who have all these nuanced discussions because we live a very political life, right? Like not all of us are commentators. JaShawn is a damn archaeologist on this call, like we do all kinds of other things, right? But they don't let us, they never let us just have those best dynamics where we have those conversations where we could be around the people we would talk to, who we would be in community. And then you realize when we talk about issues, we have lots of political, deep, nuanced conversations about things that affect us and our community without ever thinking of or centering whiteness, because why would we? It's not actually the default or centered in our life. But whenever we are larger on the macro, they want us to live for the white view, the white perspective, the white gaze. And that's what I find frustrating.
Yeah.
Oh,
wow.
So true.
Y'all, thank y'all. We have had the longest, most vivacious chat. I am so glad. I'm so glad y'all joined me for my second episode of Olay and Friends. Thank you. Also, Marlon,
Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for having me.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hold on. Let me say before y'all go,
Loved it.
Marlon, I've been following you since like high school. I want you to think I found you on Twitter fame. I've been following you since you was making things Jamaicans say. So I thought you should know.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So many people.
I think your dial-up ain't working.
Yeah, that Netscape is failing.
Yeah.
Y'all don't hear me?
AOL.
Pick up the phone.
My hair.
Hit the landline, babe.
Somebody pick up the phone in the other room and fuck this shit all up.
It's one of those free trials you get out the cereal.